So now we'll go ahead and take a look at the data system itself. All right, so you'll follow that link. Everybody should have the link to the data system. If you ever need it again, feel free to let me know. But everybody should have an email from do-not-reply@cityspan.com that has the link to the data system, as well as your username and a temporary password. So that email is generated directly from Cityspan. And if you have any questions about getting your login or your password, feel free to let me know. But this is the homepage for NEXIS. So you'll enter your username and password, and then you'll click Enter System. And when you get to the your landing page, you'll see your organization here in the gray menu bar where this says demo site. The demo account is what I'm using for this video, but your organization name should be there. And then underneath should be the sites that your organization serves. If you haven't added a site, then you should only see staff module as well as a site location that's called Next Up. That Next Up site location is where your Next Up data will be. That's where you will be able to find it. So any of the programs that you've run with Next Up over the past couple of years, that data will be there. And you'll only see additional sites, for example, like Martin Luther King Jr. or another site of your choosing, when you request that those sites be added to myself or to Candace. So we can add site locations to your page. There's no limit on the number of site locations that you can serve. For example, if your organization operates programmings at different parks and rec locations or other community centers, local churches, those can all be added. You would just need to send some information over to us to have those. But for today, we're going to go ahead and look at the demo site for Martin Luther King Jr. Once you click on the site that you're interested in, you'll get taken to a location profile page. All of this information will be pre-populated, so you'll never need to enter it. You'll send it over to us. So that site name, the address, and a phone number, it'll be entered for you. But thinking back to our program tracking process, we are going to start by creating our activities, creating our programs, and their schedules. So in this left menu bar, you'll see everything that you need. So we're going to start by clicking on Groups Activities. You'll see that in the demo site, we already have a couple activities in here. So you'll see when you start entering your programs that you'll always see the program name, and then you'll see the begin date and the end date. So that's just a quick glance over of when your programs are starting and when they're ending. So for today, we are going to create a new activity. So in the system, your programs are considered activities. So we're going to click Add Activity, and we'll talk about groups at another time. So today we just need to think about our activities. So we're going to click Add Activity. And you'll see this page appear. So you'll have the opportunity to enter a program name. You can enter a program description. It doesn't have a red asterisk, so it's not required, but you can add it. And what's really important is this next question about the program finder. Do you want to include this program in the program finder? So the program finder being that separate tool on the Next Step website where the community can search for enrichment opportunities. If you want this program included in the locator, if you want it viewable and searchable publicly, then you'll click yes. If you don't need this program included on the locator, then you'll click no. If you click no, you'll enter a program category. You can pick as many subcategories as you'd like, and then the page ends, and you'll just click Save and Proceed. But if you do want it included on the program locator, then when you scroll down, you'll see that there are more data fields that need you to enter information. So you'll select the time of day, the start date, end date. You'll input a program schedule, the total program slots available, the minimum age of participants, the grades you serve. It's pretty, it's a summary overview of what parents or students are going to be asking about your program. And the red asterisk marks are required. And if you have your program included in the program locator, you can also use the program description to add any hyperlinks, website links that somebody may need to go to register. So this page and NEXIS does not register students for your programs, but you can use the program description to include any link that a family might need to get their student started in that program. So for today, we're going to go ahead and just click no on this. I'll call our program test. We'll call it test 2 because I think there's already a test class in the system. We will label it arts and humanities, and I'll say that the subcategories would be academic enrichment, art, and fashion design. And once I have that information entered, I'll just click save and proceed. So now I have my test class in the system. And before I start creating students to enroll in the class, I need to create the program schedule. So I'll click edit on this dark gray bar. And the system has 2 ways that you can enter dates for your program or your program schedule. We always recommend using the multiple dates feature to add multiple dates to the schedule. Click here. It's just faster. It's more efficient. You could add single dates, but if your program meets over a period of time, like twice a week for 10 weeks, then adding single dates is a bit cumbersome. Single dates are really good if the program that you're entering is a one and done opportunity. Let's say you're doing a Saturday park cleanup and the group is only going to meet on one day, and that group will never be expected to meet again, then you can add a single day. But for now, we'll go ahead and add multiple dates. And you will have this step-by-step process. You'll enter your start date. So for this training, we'll say that my program starts on April 4th, and it will conclude on June 3rd. And in that time, my program is going to meet on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock p.m. Whoops, at 4 o'clock p.m. And it'll end at 5 o'clock p.m. So my class is actually going to meet at that same time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so anywhere that your class meets, you'll make sure to enter a time frame. For any day that's left blank, so here, we're not meeting Mondays, Wednesdays, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, the system will ignore those dates and leave them blank. It'll only pull the Tuesdays and Thursdays. And lastly, you'll just click add multiple dates. And there you go. You have all of the Tuesdays and Thursdays that your class is scheduled for from that first week in April that I mentioned to that first week in June. If you look at any of these dates, or like, let's just say that Tuesday, April 12th is a holiday, or there's no school, or something's going on, and you know that you're not going to have programming that day, you can go through and just click any day that might need to be deleted, and you can delete that date so that the system isn't looking for attendance. If you have a date in the system, it's always going to be waiting for you to take attendance for that day. So any day that you're not going to meet, you can go ahead and delete that date. So once you're all done, you can click return, and it'll take you back to this general info page. And now you'll see that in addition to the program information that we started with, There's also the schedule information. Here where it says status, and you'll see that here it says pending, because the program is scheduled to start April 5th. So it'll be pending until April 5th, and then it should switch to active. So once you have your list of programs, you can go back either here in the left menu to group activities, or in the upper right corner, you can click program list. You'll see all of the programs that your organization is operating at Martin Luther King Jr. Middle. So you should remember that whenever you're looking at these lists, to keep in mind that you're in a particular site location. So if you don't see the class you're looking for, you may just have to switch to the correct site location. So now you have your activities. What do you need to do next? You should start creating your youth participants. So we're going to look over again in the left-hand menu, and you're going to see this tab, Participants and Staff. So you'll click Participants and Staff, and you have a few options. Once you have started entering students, the Participants and Staff list gives you the option to search for students. So this is where all of your youth participant records are stored. You can either click to view a list of all of your youth participants. You can search by last name initial, or if you do know exactly which student you're looking for, you can do a search of their first name and last name. And the system does allow you to do a partial search. So if you can only remember the student's first name, or if they have like a long name, you can just go ahead and start a partial search with like a letter, 2 letters of their name, and click Find Person. And then a student matching those parameters will appear. So if there's multiple students whose name starts with a JA, you'll see a list. But for right now, we don't have any students in our system yet, so we need to add them. So to add a student, you're going to click on the upper right-hand corner, this yellow tab that says Add Youth. And the system requires you to add a first name, last name, date of birth. And the date of birth is important. It's the unique record for that student, so the system will always match first name, last name, date of birth. Once we have Aspen, RPS Aspen data being integrated, our developers will be making sure that they're matching RPS data by first name, last name, date of birth, so that it matches the correct student in the data system. So you'll go ahead and enter the test already. So we'll go first name, last name, and then for the birthday, just for the demo, I'll enter today's date. And once you have that, you'll click Add Youth Participant. And here you see a little message from the system telling you that the registration was successful. And you have 2 options. You can either click into your student's record to enter more specific data about them, or the system will loop you back to enter a new youth participant. So if you have a stack of registration forms for all the students interested in signing up for your program, you can quickly just make sure that everybody's created and let the system loop you through first name, last name, date of birth, first name, last name, date of birth. Or you can click into their records and add that detailed information. So let's look at what a youth record looks like. So for registration information, once you've created the student, you'll also be able to track any information that your organization is interested in. So we have included the data fields that Next Up tracks, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to use all of the data fields. So you can track their grade. You can also track the school that they're attending. You'll see a drop-down list. This list will only populate RPS schools, so RPS pre-K through 12 schools. If you have students that are not in RPS, then in this list, you should see non-RPS school. And there it is. You'll see non-RPS school. So if the students attend like Chesterfield School or Henrico School, you can click non-RPS school, and then a text box will appear where you can type in the name of that school, so that when you're pulling data reports, the school name appears in those Excel files as well. So you have that option. You can track race, you can track family information, so parent, guardian information, any emergency contact information that you want to include. There are also transportation options, so whether a child will be picked up, whether they'll walk, who can pick students up, who cannot pick students up. Medical information, including medicine and allergies. If you do track this information and click yes, that they take medicine, this text box will appear and allow you or a parent to enter, to give more details about what that medicine is. If you click no, the text box doesn't appear. And then a few consent files that you can click yes or no to. So again, these are the fields that Next Up tracks, so we've included them, but that does not mean that each of these data points is something that you should be tracking. But if you don't already and you think, hey, that's actually kind of helpful, then it's here for you to track. In addition to this general registration form, we also have this notes form. So in this notes form, this allows organizations to track really any additional notes or youth details that you have on a student that might not be reflected in the registration fields on the registration page. So this would be a good place for any organization-specific information. In addition to being able to type your notes or additional youth details, you also have the option to add unlimited file uploads. So if there is information that you track in the form of files, PDF, Word documents, anything that you want to keep track of for those students, you can upload those files here. There shouldn't be any like file format limitations. So Word, PDF, JPEGs, whatever it is can be uploaded. And you have an unlimited amount of file uploads. So you just need to click add another file, excuse me, and more should appear. So you'll see file 3, file 4 as you need them. You'll notice these additional tabs, an enrollment tab, a reports tab. You as an organization shouldn't see this extended day form, but in the enrollment tab, it's a quick overview of the activities that that student is enrolled in. You'll see for this student, since we just created them, they're not enrolled in any activities. And then there are also there's also one quick glance report that you can pull. But now that we have our test student created, let's look at what enrolling that student in a class looks like. So at this point, you've entered the programs that you're offering at Martin Luther King Jr. Middle. You've entered those programs and their schedules. Then you've gone through and you've gone through your registration forms and you've created all the youth records that you need for the students who expressed interest or who signed up for your programs at MLK Middle. So now you would need to enroll those students into the correct activities. So we'll go back to the Groups and Activities tab. And you'll click on the class that you want to enroll a student in. So for us today, we're looking at Test Class 2. So we'll click into Test Class 2. And then in the upper right tabs, you'll click on Enrollment. So because this is a new class for us, we don't have any students enrolled yet. You'll see this message that you can click here to enroll new students. You can also click on this yellow button that says enroll. They'll both take you to the same place. So you'll click enroll new students or new participants. And then you'll have the option to search students individually or you can click all and see a list of all students. So we're going to click all. So here are all the students that I have in my demo site for MLK Middle. So once you have students enrolled, this list really shows all of the students not already enrolled. But since there are no students in this class, this is everybody in our system. So we'll go through and click the students we want to enroll. So I want to enroll my Test 2 student. I'll enroll Mirabelle, I'll enroll Ariel, Madeline, Jessica, and Brian. So these are all the students who signed up for my test class. So I'll just click everybody's name and then click next step. And you'll see on the next page, you'll see your participant's name and their enroll date. So the enroll date is always going to pre-populate as the first day of the class. So if all of these students are starting on the first day, then this start date is fine. But let's say you have a group of students starting the first day of class is April 5th, but Ariel reached out to you, Ariel's mom reached out to you and let you know that she was actually going to be out that first day, that first week, because they were on a family vacation and they're not coming back until the week after. So for Ariel, you can click on the calendar, and because you know that she's going to miss these first 2 days of programming, you can set her start date to be April 12th. And this again comes in handy when it's time to take attendance. If you leave Ariel's start date as the 5th, the system is going to require you take attendance for her. And you have the option to mark Ariel absent, but because you know ahead of time that she wasn't really planning on starting that day, you can change the date so that she doesn't appear on the 5th at all. The system doesn't consider her present or absent. And ultimately, it gives you as the organization a clear report on your average daily attendance, which we'll talk about once we get to attendance and we'll talk about in reporting. But marking Ariel absent would kind of change how your average daily attendance data ends up looking. So once you have everybody's start date set up, you'll click next step. And if you have multiple programs in the system already, the system does catch any schedule conflicts. And the system is really good at including these like text box that basically have instructions or explanations as to what's happening. So the system found scheduling conflicts. So I had Madeline signed up for my test class and I had Mirabelle signed up for my test class, but they're already in another class at the same time. They're already in academic time when they said that they wanted to be in my test class. So this is just a quick indicator. You can either override it and say, yep, they are supposed to be in the test class anyway, and just override the conflict, or you can leave them unchecked and make a note that you have to follow up with Madeline and Mirabelle that you have to just double check whether they're choosing to not attend academic time to attend your test class, or if they want to stay in academic time. So you have those two options to either override the conflict or not enroll the student at this time and come back to it later. So for now, I'm going to leave them unchecked. So I'm not going to enroll them in my class right now, and I'll follow up with them later. And I'll click next step. And then once you hit next step, you'll see your enrollment confirmation. So this page just shows you a list of the students who were successfully enrolled in your class. Once you click done, you can either start enrolling more students, like if you were searching name by name, or you can click return. And you'll see now in test class 2, there's a total of 3 enrolled students, and you see the list of those students here. So this would be like that class roster. So once you've gone through and enrolled all the students that you're looking to enroll in your group's activities, you will just start back at the program list. So you've gone through your programs and you've enrolled the students that were interested in signing up. And now we're going to fast forward, and you've had your first day of programming, so it's time to start taking attendance. So you'll click into groups activities, you'll see your list of activities, and you'll click on the program that you're looking to take attendance for. So for us today, we're going to look still at test class 2. And we're going to look at these upper tabs and click on attendance. And once you click on attendance, you'll see a list of days that the class is scheduled to meet, the days that you created when you entered the program schedule. And you will see the date, the begin and end time for this class. And here you see your present total number. So the total number, this 223 as it changes, that's the total number of students that you're expecting on that day. So the total number of students that the system recognizes is enrolled in your class on any given day. So if you remember, we have 3 students signed up. We'll click into Tuesday, April 5th. So on Tuesday, April 5th, we're only expecting Brian and our test student. Here in this blue menu next to the date, you can see Save and Next, and it'll take you to the next date. So it's still Brian and our test student. And then on this third date, on April 12th, we have Ariel joining us because Ariel had let us know that she was going to be out of town with her family and she'd be starting on the 12th. So the system recognizes this in how you take attendance for your class. So if we go back and we say, all right, today is Tuesday, April 5th, my class came and all of my students were present. So I have this option, this orange button, all present. I also have all absent if none of my students came on this day. And then I can also clear it. So I can, any attendance that I input, I can clear and everybody goes back to unknown. These features are really helpful when you have a long list of students in your class. Because if you have 10 students in your class, you can click all present. And if only 3 students were absent, then you just need to click down and find those students that were absent. But this is a short list. So we'll just take attendance. We'll say that Brian was present and our test student was absent. And once you've gone down the list, you have to click save. The system won't save the attendance that you enter unless you click save. So you'll mark your present and absence and you'll click save. Once you go to return, you'll see that this present total has changed to green. So the system has 3 colors. Green in your attendance means that you're good to go. Every student on that day has been accounted for, either present or absent. Red is that no attendance has been entered. And they'll all be red for dates that are in the future. And then you have a third option. So let's say that on Thursday, April 7th, Brian came, and so I marked Brian present and I hit save, but I didn't mark anything for test student. I left test student as unknown and I hit return. It's a little subtle, but you'll see that now the present total is this kind of orangey color. And that is like a visual reminder to you, to your instructor, whoever is entering attendance, that on this day you have a student labeled unknown. And the system will consider this incomplete attendance data until you mark a student present or absent. So as soon as you go in and you say, oh, yeah, my bad, my test student they came late. I had already entered attendance and they came to class late and I didn't go back and mark them as present, but yep, they were present, they were there, save, and return. And now that attendance is green. The system recognizes it as complete and you're totally good to go. And that's taking attendance. It's just a simple click of present or absent, and then hitting save. So in terms of program tracking and the program tracking that we're going to go over today, those are your 4 categories. So the 4 categories that we looked at, again, just as a review in the data system, would be schedule and activity. So creating that schedule, entering the start date, end date, times, creating your youth participants, enrolling your youth participants in programs, and then finally taking that attendance. The system offers a lot more in terms of the reporting that you can pull, the reporting that Candace and I can help you view. But to get started, these are the 4 bucket areas. And as you have questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Candace. We'd be happy to talk through how you can track your program, how the system can be manipulated to help each program's unique features. Again, here is the link for NEXIS directly. And lastly, if you do have questions, you can book office hours with me directly through this Calendly link. The link is in my email signatures. If you have any questions about setting time up with me on Calendly, of course, you can send me an email, reach out. But I hope that answers some of the questions. I hope it offers some clarity on how your organizations can use NEXIS. And I look forward to hearing from you.